Hello, lovely viewers. Welcome to another episode of Femaffair with me, your host, Abba Fame. This program is designed to help deal with the myth concerning womanhood and also groom the women physically, spiritually, mentally, psychologically, and what have you. Today's topic is on mother and child relationship. How is your relationship with your mother and how is your relationship with your child? We'll sit back and enjoy our discussion. We'll take a breather, but before we go, I would like to acknowledge our sponsors. We are live at Furniture City on the Splinters Road. Enyo's Blend did my makeup, Biokima Clothing took care of my closet, and of course, GH Media is in charge of our production. See you in a bit. Not all single moms are products of moral bankruptcy, but victims of untold circumstances. Others are also reformed and renewed from past mistakes. Judge them not, but help build them up, for a lot of them are actually heroines. As I mentioned earlier, our topic for discussion today is on mother and child relationship. I've got two mothers who I admire so much. One is a very powerful judge, if I can put it this way. Her name is Reverend Mrs. Femaffair Bentum. She's a host of a very interesting program that when I saw it, I was like, wow, things day in this world. And she's a cool woman to go with. So, Mrs. Femaffair Bentum, welcome to
Thank you,
Femaffair.
honey. Thank you.
Yes.
You're looking pretty.
Thank you. I was going to say the same thing. Yes. Sometimes I can imagine mother of four, even though one is adopted, you can look like a 16-year-old girl.
Hey, thank you.
I envy you for that, you know.
It's Grace.
Yeah, Grace. Yeah. Next to her is Mrs. Ella Duncan Williams Kane. As for me, when I see her papa, so I always call her papa's photocopy. The daughter of Archbishop Duncan Williams. She's a mother, she's a teacher, she's a woman's advocate, she's a girl's advocate. I can go on and on, and a minister of God. Clinton, as she speaks, you get to know everything about her. So this discussion promises to be one superb, show that you've never enjoyed before. So welcome once again to
Thank you so much.
you beautiful ladies. Okay. So if I should start with you,
Okay.
since I started the intro with you, let me ask you, who is a mother?
Well, Merriam-Webster would say that a mother is someone who has given birth, or a female parent. But honestly, I would say that a mother is a giver of birth. And if I say a giver of birth, it's psychological, emotional, somebody who gives birth to something. Somebody who gives birth to something. It doesn't necessarily mean somebody who has carried a baby.
Yeah.
I go beyond that. That limits it for me.
Yeah.
People, we have women in the 21st century now who don't have babies, but you can have gazillion people calling them mother. Yeah. Why? Because they've given birth to something in them, something deeper, something that they couldn't have done on their own.
Wow.
It could be physical. It could be spiritual. It could be emotional. We can name it on and on. We can even have names of people who have helped others to birth certain things in them. We have people called spiritual mothers. Why do we call them mothers? Although we've attached spiritual to it. They give birth to all kinds of things spiritually in people and, of course, physically. So me, if you ask me, I'll say I'm somebody who gives birth.
That is very, very deep and interesting. I'm already enjoying the conversation. I didn't want it to stop, you know. Yeah. So viewers, I told you we have two amazing women in the studio. You haven't seen anything yet. So let me come to you. What would you add to what she has said already?
Yeah, I definitely agree. For me, I'd say a mother is also one who nurtures and who kind of watches over in the development of whether a child, like she said, it can be an idea, it can be a business, it could be your spiritual life. Your mother is one that you would go to for sort of guidance, and it's the responsibility of the mother to watch over and protect and kind of give guidance, you know, to whether it's a child or whatever it is. So a mother is one who nurtures and watches over.
I see. Interesting. So if I follow it up with a question, then we move to, since we're talking about mother and child relationship, who is a child to you? When we say a child, who is a child?
I would say a child can be on the physical level, obviously, is one that you're giving birth to. But then on other levels, it can be anyone who has submitted themselves to you or who sees something in you that they also want to connect to. And then they come and say, oh, will you be my mentor? Will you be my mother? Will you be my... So someone you're giving birth to or someone who has of their own chosen to submit themselves to you for whatever reason.
Okay. So, Mrs. Benton, what would you add to what she said about a child?
Well, on the legal term, we would say that someone who's a minor, right? Which it differs from country to country, society to society. But like she said, I totally agree. Somebody who decides on their own. And the reason why we're saying that this is today, we have children who are throwing their mothers out. We have children who leave their mothers and pick others as mothers. So there is no honor, respect. There's no dignity whatsoever, although the person carried and birthed you. And then you're following maybe another spiritual mother, and then you say, that's my mother. For me, it's okay. It's not okay in some sense, but it's okay in some sense. At least that person has a mother figure in their life. You understand where I'm going? Please. So if you say a child, like she said, when you decide on being mothered or parented by somebody else.
Per the definition you've given, how should a mother and child relationship be like?
That is broad. You can't put it in a box. You can. It differs. You know, mother-parent relationship in Europe is different from Africa. Man, we were watching. I saw. No, I think it was on WhatsApp. We had this short video on WhatsApp where a mother was talking to the daughter, a little beautiful, adorable girl, and she just busted, no, get out, and banged the door, and then there was
this cannot happen.
An African mother, you know what I'm saying? who and like, you know, if we're in Africa, I would smack the heavens out of you. So it differs. A mother-child relationship in, say, US will differ from a mother-child relationship here. But I would say that the relationship has to be cordial. It has to be one of respect. It has to be one with understanding both ways. The mother has to try as much as possible to, that's usually the challenge, where mothers have to understand their kids. It's challenge because of the dispensations are different. The times are different. The time I grew up, how I grew up, when I grew up differs from now. I mean, now I'm scared when my daughter has a female friend. It didn't used to be like that. So it's different from when I was growing up. So the relationship, basically that's what I've said, but it differs.
This is Ella King.
Yeah, I think that when it comes to the relationship, I think the mother has to look at where she wants the child or the end result. That's the approach that I've personally adopted with my children. And sometimes I'll be talking to my kids and my husband will be like, is it your kids that you're talking to? You sound like friends. And I'm like, thank you. That's actually what I want. Because growing up in this society, you know, I grew up here and then I was outside, and looking at the pros and cons of both societies, I've kind of developed my own blend of how I want to raise my children, because I want them to start practicing who I want them to be in the future. So I'm raising them very, like, sometimes my husband is like, what's going on? You know, but I'm like, no, I want them to speak their mind. I want them to be outspoken. I want to create a space for them where they feel safe, so that they can practice who they are, so that when they go out into the world and they are confronted with certain situations, they've practiced it at home. So yeah, even though that might mean, you know, sometimes I have to be a little more patient or a little more tolerant with them, but then I'm confident as a mother that when they go out there, they will know what to do because they did it at home. I corrected it, I talked them through it, I explained it, you know, and as opposed to sometimes the more traditional African approach where it's like, don't speak until you're spoken to. You know, for me, I'm a very outspoken person, and I found that as that was a challenge for me, something I had to overcome. Even to this day, like if an older person is talking and I need to say something, I will battle inside before, even though I know what I'm saying is right or it needs to be said, you know, because it was that mental
in Africa.
Yes, that, you know, not brainwashing, but the way we were raised, you know, where, like she said, today's society and the culture is totally different. Children need to be independent. They need to be able to stand on their own and stuff like that. So it's like each mother has to find the balance, who she wants the children to be in the future.
So in this area, how does a mother create a perfect relationship with her ward and vice versa when it comes to the children creating with their mothers?
But before, let me just add up. Creating a balance is the right word right now. You have to create a balance. You are born in a different time. You have a child you gave birth to in a different time. And it's good that we have social media and we have TV and we have all these things, so we get to learn from where we've not been. And the mothers of today, let me just say, are not the mothers of yesterday. We have social media, we have Google, we have phones at our disposal. We can learn things, we can study things, we can do research on our own. You understand? And most of the mothers now are learned a bit, at least.
Unlike those previous
unlike the mothers of yesterday, if you get where I'm going. So you have to try and create a balance. She had the opportunity of having both worlds. Some of us didn't, you see, but at least we learn. Okay, so in US or in Europe, the children speak out. They are trained to speak out. What are the pros? What were the cons? How do we make sure that we eliminate the cons? How do we make sure that we imbibe the pros from the African society? How do we balance it? So as a you see, mother is not just now I to her. No, there's so much that people don't take time to you know, information. You take in information, knowledge that you open yourself up to before you push a baby out. That is why I don't get it when some of our in-laws and our mothers and fathers today, I have counseling issues where people are pushing people to just give birth. It doesn't work like that anymore. I would rather have one child when I am 40 years, 30 years, 35 years, and that child, whether male or female, will grow up to be everything that he or she wants to be with regards to especially God. You know, whatever God wanted that person to be, the destiny fulfiller. Instead of having 5, 10 from age 16 to age 2, and all of them are, you get what I'm trying? It takes a lot. It takes financially you have to have a balance. Even before you think of balancing with your child. Fine. Now that said, balancing with your child, you need to understand who he or she is. We have temperament. These things are there for us to study, but we don't. You have to know the temperament of your child.
Temperament is a great challenge in Africa.
And the funny thing is, you can look at a baby and at least have a fair idea of what temperament is predominant.
Especially with the Generation Z people.
You see what I'm saying? So now you study the child, and the child is outspoken in his or her own way, and then you know that, okay, this might be a sanguine, or this is cool, this might be a flag. You study that. That is the first step in understanding the child and trying to build a balance. Now, so you don't treat all your children the same. Everybody shut up, so everybody shut up. No, it doesn't work like that.
And the sanguine is refusing to sit.
To sit,
and you don't understand.
I remember back in the day, my first daughter went to school, and my adopted daughter went to pick her up, and they had tied her in a chair. Yes, tied her.
Really?
Yes, because she's outspoken and she's
very active.
Tied her. I remember Timothy starting from the entrance. He said, "Hey, who tied her?" That became their name in school. "Hey, Amala Mr. Bentum Meba," and that became the name. When everybody sees, it's like, he was so furious, and people didn't understand. But he had to be. Because as a teacher, you need to know the temperament of the children. That way, when she's hyper, you know that, these are the future leaders. These are the ones that will push for, you know, and encourage them, but in the right direction. 2, allow them. 3, hear them. I'm going to go fast because hear them, just hear them. That's what I do with my kids. Mommy, now if you don't take time, you're always going to push them out. Because they go, mommy, mommy, mommy.
You think you're being a nuisance.
Especially when you want your moment. You know, Charlie, you need some time. That's when they'll come, mommy, what is it? I was standing there, the most annoying thing, Ella, when they don't have anything to say. I was standing there, and what? And you see, but then listen. Even if that boy, that girl is going to go on and for that, listen, try and finish that, listen. That way they will learn to listen to you.
Okay, well, that's a very powerful statement. So on that note, we take our men's corner. We will be right back.
Mothers are like comforting pillows for children. So if a mother becomes so lenient on the child becomes more, how do I say it, wouldn't like to listen to the mother more because calm, emano. But if the mother becomes a honeyho, my mother is not calm, my mother is not that wild, she's able to flow with the child.
When it comes to mom, we are the best in the world. And then I wouldn't dispute that fact because mom, they understand their kids, they understand their children. So at the end of the day, your question and then the answer to your question means at the end of the day, moms are always the best. That's when it gets to Mother's Day. Every mom is celebrated because they have the love, the care, the understanding, and then the trust.
Those were some interesting comments from our men. We're still continuing our discussion on mother and child relationship, and I'm enjoying it so much because this era needs this kind of things for us to get it right, especially those of us that are now coming to be mothers, aspiring to be mothers, if I can put it that way, will learn some of these things that we've taken for granted for so long. I have nephews that are more close to me because I'm always chatting them. And it's like, because of, we kind of, within a certain generation, far from their mother, the blending naturally is not working. Because the mother doesn't believe in most of the things, especially with technology side. She doesn't even like WhatsApp. The phone is with the children. So, but I do these things, so we easily gel. And it really helps. So we realize that the gap in the generation is so wide, some of us with our parents. And we need to really adjust, and it's not really working because some of our parents also lack the understanding to get to know that, no, this Generation Z people are in the world of their own. They are born to be automatic electronic operators. Nobody teaches them, but they can.
Their specs are different.
It's totally different. I have an uncle that will go like, this thing I can't do, I know you can do it. You just hand it over to you. What am I saying? What should parents in that era who are listening to us and are still using their era actors to groom children of this age who are not immune to this new way of life, force themselves to go back to their parents' way of living? How do we blend, or how do we help a parent and a child in this situation?
So I think the first thing is the parents need to understand that their children are growing up in a totally different time. Just like this corona thing has come and we're all having to adjust. The parents need to understand that the children are growing up and are born into a completely different era. So as much as they might not understand it or might not be interested in it, for the sake of the children, it's like you have to build a relationship with them. Let's say if you want to get to know somebody or you're dating or you're courting, the same amount of energy and effort you put into getting to know that person, you have to do the same with your children. Or else you realize you're in the house with them, but you don't actually know each other. They're just there by default because you gave birth to them, or they just happen to be in your home, but you still have to invest in the relationship. So as much as you might not enjoy the technology or the things that they are growing up in. For the sake of the relationship, you need to invest some time so you at least understand what they're dealing
basics,
with.
yeah.
Yes, so that you can have conversation with them. I mean, my parents are older; they're not very much into technology. But when stuff comes up, I also go to them. I say, "Hey, did you know you can do this on your phone?" I sit down and I take time and I show them.
Oh, wow.
Sometimes they get it. Sometimes they're like,
No,
whatever.
this one is on
you
my
know? But
level.
at least they know that this is available. Blah, blah. When they have an issue, they call me and I sort it out for them. And also with my children, a lot of the little ones, I mean, the way they can maneuver devices and stuff.
It's amazing.
My 2-year-old can take my computer and she doesn't even know what she's doing.
Yeah.
And she goes into these back menus and all this stuff. And sometimes I'm like, can you please come and show me what you've done? Because now I can't do anything. My computer had shut down. It's some software is uploading. And she'll just rub her hands, you know, and it's, but I sit there and I take time with them to watch what they're watching. In fact, I know all these ABC, all these songs and
Cartoons
stuff.
and all that.
I'm so tired of it. I can't remember the last time I watched television, like adult television. But I sit there and I do it because I want to know what they are watching.
Yeah.
The parents just have to invest time. It's like, just because you go and buy a car doesn't mean you will know how to drive it.
Yeah.
You need to go and practice. If you give me a what do they call it? Stick shift, manual.
Yeah.
I will crash it. I need to spend time with the car.
Yeah.
I don't know it.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with your children. Just because they came out of you
Doesn't mean
that
automatically everything would
you have
work
to
out.
spend time on the
Yeah.
relationship.
Okay.
Yeah.
On that note, we'll go for our Yellow Women's Time. We will be right back.
Hello, lovely people. Welcome to another episode of YOLO Beauty Tips. I am Shalina Depoku and I'll be taking you through this segment. For today, we'll be shooting on the topic waxing. Waxing, when we talk about waxing is a process of hair removal from the roots by using a covering of a sticky substance such as wax. This process involves removing the covering and pulling out the hair follicle from the roots. Waxing has so many benefits, but we'll just treat a few. Waxing helps improve skin texture. In addition to removing excess unwanted hair, waxing also removes the top dry layer of dead skin cells. The best benefits of waxing over shaving are its long-lasting effects and smooth results. Waxing minimizes the appearance of stubble. It has no irritation or allergies, and no cuts, and minimal bruising. You have a stumble-free skin. That's all we have for today's segment, for today's episode. Catch you next time next week, and it's bye-bye.
Welcome back from the beauty tip. We're just about wrapping up the show, but we still have one or two things to touch on. Now, I have a very final question that we'll wrap up with. In a situation where a single mother is trying with a means to build herself up and also pull her baby or her child along, what advice would you have for such a mother to stand on her toes to make sure that the condition she finds herself in would not have a negative effect on her relationship with her child?
I would say to a single mother, well, I mean, parenting itself is already hard with the father and the mother at home. Now, you remove the father figure, which also has its place in a child's life. I would say the best advice to give a single mother is she should make sure that she takes care of herself, not in a selfish way. And let me explain what I mean. She needs to ensure that she's happy as a person, that her life is fulfilled. If not, it will negatively impact the child because she'll be taking all her frustration and her anger and her bitterness and her unforgiveness and whatever out on the child. She needs to now create a happy home environment, and as the man and the woman, so to say, she needs to make sure that she is whole and she is complete, so she can be that rock and be that stable environment.
Not a situation whereby you would see her up a party.
Exactly, because you're just going to damage the child. So she needs to make sure that she as a person is that whatever the situation, for whatever reason that the father is not there, she needs to deal with that, make sure inside she's okay, whether she has to forgive, she has to go for counseling, whatever. She needs to take care of herself so that she can properly take care of the child. And then now she needs to address the issue of the lack of a male figure in the child's life. Like I said earlier, children are resilient. It doesn't necessarily have to be the father, but she does need to find a good male figure for the child. It can be her brother, it can be, a friend, but like you said, the friends are dangerous. Especially if she's not ready for another relationship or something. She really has to take care of herself so that she can make good decisions for the child and for the home as a, because she's now responsible for both sides.
Okay. Please, can we have your final words as we wrap up the show?
Sure. So I would just say that for all our mothers, they just have to remember that they are the ones responsible for the relationship with their children. They have to make the effort, and that God has entrusted these lives into their hands. Men don't have certain capacity like mothers do. I always tease my husband that if it was up to men to bring children into the world and take care of them, we wouldn't have human beings on the planet anymore. Women have a certain capacity. It's just God-given. So they need to understand that they just have it. So they should be the ones responsible. They should own that responsibility, because the men have a very short, attention span. They have very small tolerance for dealing with children. The patience and the long suffering and longevity that it takes to raise children a certain way, women have that. So they should just understand that and be that person for the child, and they'll be surprised at the relationship that they will have and the adults that they will get in the future.
Okay. So, Mrs. Benton, your final word.
Okay, I will steal Rick Lake's word when he said that motherhood is the single most hardest and yet greatest thing in the world. For young mothers out there, I will say that it is hard, but it is the greatest, it's one thing that gives you the greatest joy that you can ever find. So it's hard, but just like any hard thing in your life, tackle it. Be open to pros and cons, find out, learn, study, upgrade yourself. But whatever you do, make sure your decision is based on that child. Is you come to conclusion to favor the child or your children. And that should be it.
Okay. Wow. That's a very powerful statement. If I didn't even pick anything at all, one thing I picked was that no matter what you do, make sure that whatever you do favors the child. And when your child is in good standing, automatically you have your peace of mind. Unlike when they are not, and they will grow up and come back to you with all their challenges and their problems, and you might have to virtually live their lives for them because they can't stand on their own. On that note, we would like to say thank you so much to Mrs. Ella Duncan Williams-Kane. God bless you so much for coming. And we've learned a lot. We pray God will replenish every virtue that has gone out of you. Then our power judge. I call her power judge because she hosts a show called Ladies Court. Try and look for it and watch it. You understand why I said powerful judge. So Reverend Mrs. Bentum, God bless you so much for coming.
Thank you.
And we thank you for, exposing us to all these things that we didn't know about mother-child relationship. God bless you so much. We hope to see you soon again on the show discussing another topic.
Available.
Yeah. Same as you are.
Thank you.
Okay, so this is where we wrap up today's episode of Femaffair with Abba Fame. I would like to acknowledge our sponsors. Furniture City is behind this beautiful edifice. My outfit was done by Barikima Clothing. Enyo's Blend did my face beat. Then, of course, as I always say, GH Media is in charge of our production. I want to let you know that we'll be back next week, same time, same channel. Don't go anywhere. Bye-bye.